Pakistan's Defence Minister Khawaja Mohammad Asif was humiliated in the global media after he failed to provide evidence of his claim that Pakistan shot down 5 Indian jets and a drone in retaliation to India's strike on Pakistan, Kashmir.
Pakistan claims it shot down 5 Indian Air Force jets and a drone, as I understand. Where's the evidence for that, sir?
It's all over the social media.
I've made several videos exposing Western media biases and the absurd criticism directed at India, especially how they often ignore the atrocities committed by Pakistan and its state-sponsored terrorism. But what if I told you that some of them are finally starting to see through Pakistan's lies? In fact, a few have begun, not only exposing high-ranking Pakistani officials, but also brutally humiliating them.
You've just brought up the fact that India lost some fighter jets, so let's be quite clear about this. Pakistan claims it shot down 5 Indian Air Force jets and a drone, as I understand it. India says there's no evidence of that, no proof. So can you provide more detail? Hold on. Can you provide more detail? And is this the response that your army spokesman threatened, or is there further action to come? Let's start with this very specific allegation of 5 fighter jets shot down. Where's the evidence for that, sir?
It's all over the social media, on Indian social media, not on our social media. The debris of these jets fell into Indian occupied Kashmir, and it's all over Indian media today.
You're the defense
and they have
minister.
admitted their media has.
The reason to talk to you today, sir, it's not to talk about content all over social media. I'm sorry. It's not to talk about content all over social media. I'm asking you very specifically.
Now let me make one thing clear. When a defense minister, one of the highest positions in a government after the prime minister, and someone who represents a nation's military credibility, responds to an international journalist by citing social media as the only source of evidence for a major military claim like shooting down multiple jets, it seriously undermines both his personal credibility and that of his government. And this isn't even the first time he's done it. He made a similar claim just 2 or 3 days ago on another Western media platform. Take a look at this.
But you do admit, sir, that Pakistan has had a long history of backing and supporting and training and funding these terrorist organizations.
Well, we have been doing this dirty work for the United States for about 3 decades, and West, including Britain.
And yet, despite being grilled by journalists, not once but multiple times, he had no actual proof to back his claims. Instead of offering official military reports, radar data, or even a coherent timeline, he casually pointed to social media posts, ironically, from Indian accounts, as his evidence. Think about that for a moment, a country's defense minister, in a live international broadcast, waving around social media posts, instead of verifiable intelligence. It's beyond embarrassing, it's absurd. The journalists weren't having it either. They interrupted him, challenged his vague answers, and outright rejected the idea that content on social media could replace hard evidence. They kept pressing him, where is the debris? Where are the satellite images? Where's the confirmation from your own military? But every time, the Pakistani minister danced around the question, hoping the smokescreen of social media noise would somehow pass as truth. It didn't.
Indian armed forces say that altogether 9 sites have been targeted, that they haven't hit any Pakistani military facilities. These are terrorist camps that they are hitting.
Let me make it very clear, there are no terrorist camps in Pakistan. Pakistan is a victim of terrorism. We are fighting the terrorists in our western regions, on our western borders. We are the frontline state against terrorism.
Just a week ago, your defense minister, Khawaja Asif, admitted that Pakistan has for decades had a policy of funding, backing and using terrorist groups as proxies in the country. In fact, in 2018, President Donald Trump cut military aid to Pakistan because he accused Pakistan of playing a double game. So when you say there are no terrorist camps in Pakistan, That is going against what your defense minister said just a week ago. In fact, what Bilawal Bhutto said to me a few days ago, he said that terrorism and funding and backing terrorist organizations has been and was part of Pakistan's history.
This entire exchange became a moment of global exposure, not just for the minister's lack of preparedness, but for the deeper rot within Pakistan's information machinery.
So there's no question at all, madam, of having terrorist camps in Pakistan.
That contradicts Western intelligence, the State Department.
See, President Trump, in his State of the Union address, actually appreciated Pakistan's efforts in the war against terrorism, and how Pakistan is dealing with these terrorists, how we are capturing them, how we are going after them, how they are being eliminated.
Up until a few years ago, sir, Pakistan was on a grey list of states sponsoring of terrorism just a few years ago. So
you see, when we are the guarantors of world peace, because we are a wall between the terrorists and the rest of the world. I would like to invite you to Pakistan to come and see the circumstances.
I have been to Pakistan, sir, and we know that Osama bin Laden was also discovered in Abbottabad.
What India has been telling the world for years, that Pakistan relies on fake news, doctored videos, and narrative manipulation, was suddenly being validated on international platforms. And not by Indian officials, but by seasoned Western journalists who finally stopped giving Pakistan a free pass. The Pakistani troll army was in overdrive, peddling fake videos, miscaptioned clips, and imaginary kills like they were playing a video game. It was a clown show. But the contrast couldn't have been more glaring. While India was providing measured statements and avoiding escalation, Pakistan's leadership was out there, being fact-checked and embarrassed on global television. And this is the real takeaway here. When a government's defense narrative crumbles, not under enemy fire, but under the weight of basic questioning from media, what does that say about its legitimacy? What does that say about the propaganda it's been feeding its own people? What does that say about the lies it's tried to peddle to the world? This wasn't just a media takedown. It was an international reckoning.